Welcome, my name's Andrea. My pronouns are she, her. I've spoken to all of you via email, probably many times at this point. Thanks for being here. Solidarity Film Camp is a camp that I created to empower marginalized and underrepresented youth with the skills and knowledge to change the world through storytelling and film.
My name is Emmanuel.
My name is Sadie.
I'm Gracely.
My name is Dali.
Hi, I'm Emery.
My name is Melody Rose.
My name is Tessetta.
My name is Maya.
A lot of this is literally going to be us diving in and learning as we go, which is a lot of how filmmaking is. The film industry, like many industries, is homogenous, you know? If you don't look like the average person in the industry, you immediately face barriers to entry. On top of that, it's an industry that often feels untouchable in a way just because of all of the expensive equipment that's used that a lot of people think that you have to have in order to get started. I really want to remove as many of those barriers as possible. And in creating this camp, it's so important to me, first and foremost, that the participating youth feel valued and safe. I want them to be comfortable being themselves without consequence or judgment. I want them to know that there's space for them here and that their stories are so important and so needed and that they're welcome.
I'm most excited, I think, for the directing side of film, because I've done a lot of directing in theater, but I haven't really directed in film. And I would like to get to know what that process is like, because it seems a lot more involved.
I'm really excited to learn more ways of being able to tell stories. All the things that go into making like a really cool scene. Like, it's not just the camera, it's how you put it all together.
I didn't grow up around this sort of scene, so like it's always seemed like really distant for me. And like I feel like it's a sense of satisfaction that like I'm taking a step. I feel like I can meet people that will help me in the process. Maybe I can put it all together and make something holistic and nice and fun.
What we'd love to do is put this idea of storytelling in the center of our circle, to start talking about it. Essentially, what we would love to know is, what is storytelling to you and why is it important?
When I'm watching movies, TV shows, even commercials, I do not see myself reflected. I don't really see something that is true to me, and it's something that I can relate to.
I've constantly moved throughout my whole life. We've lived in Zambia, South Africa, New Zealand, and then here. And now in my like adulthood, I'm starting to see that storytelling for me is holding space for other people's stories. So I like to, well, not like collect as much, but more like allowing my, like the Black community in Edmonton to have like a cultural record that we can go to and kind of share and let it be passed down, especially because a lot of Black immigrants in Canada lose their story once they get here, just for the sake of assimilation. My whole goal is to trying to speak for everyone who might be experiencing that same story and saying that it's here. Like, we can all experience it here together, and it's not going to go anywhere. We can share it with our kids, as my parents did. So,
I think that, unfortunately, the predominant kind of feeling that I get from Indigenous people's presence in film and TV is basically that we're not present most of the time.
And I just kind of have accepted that. Like I won't really go out and see a movie and be like upset that I'm not reflected in it. It's just like, well, of course not. That's not for me.
There's specifically one friend of mine. I've known her since we were 7. And I was always in our class like the girl with the dead dad, because my dad had died when I was 2. And everybody just knew that about me. And when we were 10, her dad died. Like still to this day, like sometimes I'll call her and I'll be like, can we just talk about dads? And she'll come over and we'll like talk about the stories we've heard about our dads and like the stuff that like we didn't get to experience with them. Sharing those stories has made me feel less alone. And it's like, that's kind of what storytelling has become for me, is just like the company of having stories that are both similar and different.
And even my idea of what an average person is not me. You have a feeling of invisibility. Then you also have a feeling of shame because of that. Because no one's talking about you. And if they are talking about you, it's in a very historic context. So you as an Indigenous person can only exist if it's like turn of the century, all your land's disappearing and your way of life is dying. Or you're a victim now in today's world where you're struggling to survive, and you quickly adopt this feeling of like you are a mistake and you're also no one cares at all.
I'm actually trying to call to mind any representations of Indigenous women that aren't just kind of like the grandmother. And I don't think I can actually bring one clearly to mind, really, which is frustrating, obviously, because like, I mean, my experience is very unique, but I also think that I struggled greatly growing up because I couldn't see anything that I could become.
I think when I was a kid, it was about not escape, but building worlds that I wanted to see and being something that I wasn't at that time. And then as I got older, I think I kind of lost what storytelling meant to me, because I think there was like a lack of visibility of people like me. And so I didn't see myself in any stories that were being told, and I found it hard to create them because I didn't know what to talk about either. And then more recently, storytelling has been kind of like a catharsis thing for me of like being the visibility that I lacked. Recently, I've been creating a lot of things, telling my stories and stories similar to mine, and also reading a lot of stories and just being overwhelmed with emotion and finding myself in those spaces. I think in this moment in my life, it's about visibility.
You know, Indigenous peoples are present today. We are using technologies in interesting ways. We are amazing filmmakers and inventors, and we do a lot of that kind of work. But because we don't see that in our media, I don't think that especially our youth, have an ability to really be like, maybe that's something that I can be. And I think that's really damaging. And it was for me, for sure.
These stories are narratives that are really tools. So in this way, we as storytellers are actually teachers. So from an Indigenous perspective, this is where we get into the responsibilities that we have as storytellers. Honesty and curiosity are the most important things when it comes to teaching. And it is having that honesty and curiosity yourself.
Like whoever writes the story, it's a way for them to get like whatever is personal about them and show other people their personal truths, and for other people to connect with the story and realize things around them that maybe they didn't realize before, or hear things that they needed to hear. And I guess like it's like a way to share perspective and knowledge. I feel like it brings everyone together in a space, and even if they take the story and just walk away from it after and forget it, in that moment that they heard the story, they understood something specific and something that maybe the author wanted to get out, or something that they needed to hear.
Why this story, and why are you the person to tell it? If you can't answer that question, I think like you need to dig a little deeper. And if the answer is, well, it's a good story and anyone could tell it, I would challenge you and say then maybe no one should. If anyone could tell a story, what will the actual impact of that story be? And have you fallen into maybe, imitation or stereotype? I have always gravitated towards films that are not telling the same narratives that you see everywhere, because I have never for a second felt like I fit into those narratives. To me, I think some of the most important traits of directors are, of course, a creative vision. I honestly think that second to that is empathy. You're literally going to spend a chunk of time like working really, really long days with a group of people, tackling probably some really emotional stuff. And you have to know how to make a story personal and see yourself reflected in it, and being able to learn how to communicate with each individual actor and to empathize with their needs, how they process notes, the type of reassurance they might need, the type of support that they might need before they're on set. I can't think of a single film with a fat woman in a lead role who is not a horrible stereotype, you know, who's not the butt of the joke or portrayed as undesirable or unlovable or on a weight loss journey to achieve a revenge body or to become beautiful. I haven't even mentioned that I'm queer yet, or that my entire life I've lived with invisible illness and chronic pain. But still, I move through the world with an immense amount of privilege as a cis white woman. And when you get into further marginalized people, people of color, trans folks, non-binary folks, and disabled folks, they're not represented in the film industry at all, not on screen or behind the scenes. The fact of the matter is that without representation, it's so difficult to feel like you belong anywhere. Or to envision yourself fitting into a job role or a relationship role or a society, you know, a culture, a space. If you don't have any examples of that, how will you ever feel welcome?
I feel like there's so much like unperceived privilege in just being able to have like not necessarily like a technical conversation, but having a side conversation with people that are in the same group as you. So like in film, for instance, or in a lot of groups, you have like predominantly cis het white people and men, and like even just them being able to relate that both of their brothers' names are Mark, like, or like that kind of thing. Whereas like with a space like this, like there's other like topics. I don't know. There's just so much like social access and just general like privilege and access that comes with this side conversations, like outside of being able to ask a question. But yeah, because you're walking to a room full of people that like are like you, like you're like,
and they trust that you know what you're doing no matter what.
Yeah.
And there's no questioning of your capabilities, and like it's so different.
If you can light and get proper sound, you can make an SLR that costs a few $100 look like this. So just keep that in the back of your mind as we're talking about cameras and as you're thinking about what kind of cameras you end up using. Most of my work is in social justice and in LGBTQ stories. And I try to tell stories that are underrepresented and that are misrepresented in the media. As a trans person, I know with visceral clarity how it feels to have your story misrepresented in the media. Even though some of that representation is positive and is wonderful people, it's still lacking nuance. So the more voices we can bring to storytelling, the more powerful and the more full our human experience will be, I think. So there's always this phrase that comes up with cinematography or with filmmaking in general, which is show, don't tell. You don't need someone to say, I'm feeling frustrated, or if they're acting it and you're showing something in your composition, your lighting, your lens choice that reflects that emotion will come through and they don't have to say a thing. I haven't faced sexual violence. I haven't faced much in the way of workplace discrimination. And I think the reason why is that for a lot of the world, I'm rather palatable to those who might be bigoted. So they can just kind of ignore me. They can ignore my transness while we're interacting. Because everyone says it, get ready to say, ooh. Ready? Ooh. It's self-leveling. So it's a gimbal because it has a gimbal inside of it that self-levels. Now, right now, I've got it following me. This is called pan follow, okay? So this is one setting where it follows me where I pan. Cool, hey? Acceptability politics and that fight for palatability, I think is really important as storytellers, that we expand and really abolish the bubble of what is seen as palatable and what is seen as acceptable. And that's why I think bringing in more voices is really important. And that's why I wanted to be involved in this project.
Our audio crew or our audio operator would say speed and then slate. Slate comes in, night walk, scene 3, take 1. Off. Once everyone's out of frame, that's when I'll call action. Slate.
Night walk, scene 3, take 1.
And action.
It's definitely weird. This is more than weird. Why is everyone so calm about this? Am I crazy? Maybe Scott took them. I've never seen him so much as full as camera before. Plus, he's in some of them, so that's impossible. I'm sure it's just a prank or something.
Joe!
On it!
The break was over 35 minutes ago.
Time is an illusion, Marcus. Bye, Tish.
So one of the things that we often say is that your script is written in the writing room, it's written when you're directing it, and then it's written again in the edit suite. For a long time, was always the only woman. Nobody had faith in me. And then I took that as part of my identity. And I was like, I'm the only woman, and I'm gonna be the best female editor. And if another woman comes into the picture, like, what am I gonna do? So I would kind of be defensive. I'm always of the mindset of having a longer cut is always better than trying to add things in. Like if you've already seen it and you know what's there, to take away is way easier. And then one day I just made that connection, like, holy crap, like I'm pushing down the other women because society or the industry is telling me there's only one. Once I made that shift, I realized, no, we need to work together, and women should be behind the camera, helping shape the stories. And then drag it into where it says footage there. For me, as being a white cis woman, I definitely do see myself reflected on screen, but not my full authentic self. I'm in an interracial relationship, and I don't ever see what me and my husband are on camera, ever. To take that a step further, now I have a young daughter who's biracial, and so I want more than myself. I want her to be seen, and I want her to see people that she can aspire to be. So that makes me think of what I work on in a way different than I ever did before. And it does matter.
This weekend, we got to sort of learn all of the different parts of a production, and I'm excited next weekend to put them all together and see how that works. And we also have gotten to play around with cameras and record some really straightforward scenes, and just hold the equipment, which is such a massive part of learning how to use it, because you can watch as many tutorials as you want. If you don't actually hold it in your hands, you're not gonna know what works and what doesn't work. But I'm really excited to see how the different groups work together and the different scenes that are gonna come out of it. Yeah, everyone's really excited to be there. So it makes for the result something that they really are excited to present.
I think it'll be really cool seeing everything come together and to see all the hard work that we've been doing to actually form into a little nice film. Yeah.
This is going to be your pre-production time. It's condensed, as is everything at this 2-weekend crash course in filmmaking. Okay, does anyone have any questions?
And on top of that, we have chemistry.
That's the best line to walk in on.
So today we are working on filming a screenplay. We're filming a screenplay that I wrote, which I was not anticipating. It's very vulnerable and exciting, and we're going through and making a shot list. So we're just kind of we're doing a lot of pre-production stuff right now so that we can move quickly and make this happen as smoothly as possible for people that don't have a lot of experience in this realm. And we're also just learning how to work with our actors as well. And we broke up the screenplay into different scenes, so it was easier to understand.
Like a one shot, or semi-one shot, and it would move until
to the point where like it's hit center, and then Eleanor would run in, or Salem would run in to pick up the phone?
I feel good. I feel excited. I feel like even though we've only been learning for like 2 fully packed days, I feel like we're actually like applying it so quickly that it like affirms that we will be able to build this skill and keep going. So yeah, it's like a little bit off to the races, but I don't feel ill prepared at all or unsupported. It's amazing.
Or like getting kind of feel like
The camera work was my favorite part, and like directing as well. I just like to get that confidence. I never really had that confidence in like my direction, and it really helped me understand that.
And then from the hair touching, Salem's gonna say, I know what you mean. On top of that, we have chemistry. And then go down to the lips, eat off. And then when you say eat off, it's eat off.
I really learned how to use the camera, and like once you learn, it gets like really fun. I guess like, yeah, and like I kept like trying to figure out different angles. Like I was like, which angle works best? It was just fun, like figuring out the process. It's like more accessible than I thought it was.
You tried to kill your sister just because of your last name.
So today, we are taking scenes that we wrote and filming them. We cast them, we did shot lists, we're filming them. I'm having a lot of fun.
My favorite part of the camp so far has been filming. Little out of my comfort zone because I'm not a directy person, but I like it, and I like trying something new.
If we wanted to make them feel, when we cut to the wide, like they're bigger and more powerful, we could lower the camera. And if we want to make them feel disenfranchised, we can look down.
I want to try.
A little higher?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've actually been really enjoying getting to actually shoot today and like be behind the camera and set up, this is what I want this shot to look like, and this is what we need to do to make it look like that. I'm excited to put it all together.
What's been really interesting about the group is that there's such a great diversity of backgrounds and age ranges, and it's everyone's coming from a different place with a different perspective, and they're bringing something really unique to the group. And so hearing people's ideas and what their perspectives on what the end result of a project should be and what their goals are even, everyone gets to try something different out, and it's cool to build those connections.
Like we can't have everything
planned out. As much as that would be nice. If we had $1 million for a budget. Maybe. Not yet. Okay.
We'll see what happens. Stay tuned for
Stay tuned for the $1 million budget.
Absolutely an idea.
Yeah. No, you're going to do a speech, and it's going to be so good. And Brennan and I are going to be right up there with you.
Are we though?
Yeah, we are. We're going to be up there with you, so you don't try and do anything sneaky. How you feeling about it?
For real?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm awake right now. Doesn't feel real.
And then you all kind of like look at each other and you're like, and then you, okay, yeah.
Can we just try that?
Yeah.
I've learned a lot about how films in general are made and all of the production behind it and everything that goes into making it, which is a lot. And directing, which is hard, apparently. Who knew? So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really
It's cool. Yeah, it totally works. That's it. I think we're done. Like, as someone who knows that visibility makes a huge difference, I kind of feel like I and people like me have to be the ones making those doors and then opening them, because someone else isn't going to do it for us. And once it's open, more people can come in and make more doors, and eventually, like, it's just going to be blown wide open. And I think that's what I'm hoping to contribute to. It's great to know that like there are people out there with the resources and the knowledge and the drive to create that visibility. So it definitely made me realize that it's possible for me to contribute to that visibility.
All right, I just want to say, holy moly. I hope you are all so proud of yourselves today. I'm so proud of you all. This was no small feat, like in any stretch of the imagination. Like what you've accomplished today is huge. So, oh, I don't want to cry. Yeah, so give yourselves a round of applause. I'm so proud. Like even just the growth that happened like from this morning to now is just incredible. And yeah, to see you all like find your confidence behind the camera has been amazing. I've just been so blown away. Like I've been so blown away by the participants at the camp, and I don't know that there could have been a cooler group of humans to walk through the door and to just like own who they are and own their stories, but like to do that, but also be so mindful of everyone around them and of like content and being aware that there's a 10-year age range in the room. Like everyone has just been so amazing to one another. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Andrea Bessa. My pronouns are she, her. And I am the creator of Solidarity Film Camp. I'm really excited that you're all here to see some film screen. Thanks.
Like I came in like I didn't know what the format would be or anything. Like I didn't really know what we would be doing. But like the people, like the general like vibe is like what I expected. And it's good. It's like very open and not judgmental.
I don't want to break up.
Me neither.
And I know you don't want to live in hiding. So what's the third option?
We fight.
The two of us. God, Jane would be killed.
Everybody's really chill and easy to get along with, and it's just great.
It's a horrible system with awful people. Someone's gotta overthrow it.
You're talking about your dad.
I know I am, and that's how I know it's an awful system. He killed your uncle. He tried to kill your sister just for having your last name.
It was really refreshing to see like young folks like picking up cameras and learning new like skills and stuff. And I definitely saw like the progression in a lot of people's like internal view of themselves when it came to film. There was a lot of like nerves behind who they were as like video people. And at the end of it, everyone is so comfortable and they're all sharing exactly what they've been doing. So I think the progression like in myself and like others as a group community, I think it was really healthy and like strong to see.
Anyways, do you remember that girl I accidentally super liked on Tinder, but then also made eye contact with her at Black Dog?
Yeah, totally.
Well, she messaged hey after we matched, and then I said I didn't mean to super like her because it's too much, and that I did like her, and then she said nothing for 3 days, and so I just let it go.
As much as like the end result is really satisfying, I enjoyed the process so much that like even if it didn't turn out as much as I wanted it to at the end, I like took away so much and learned so much about like how to edit, how to use a camera, that like it was all so worth it. This really opened up a lot of possibilities for me that I never thought of, and like it means a lot to me, I guess, and it was just a very warm place. Yeah, I always say it's warm because everyone here is so welcoming.
Hard to meet hot queer folks in Edmonton who don't already know an ex or something. I definitely get that. On top of that, we have chemistry. Yeah. Tell me about it. So, I love this
this is a productive solution.
I just need, I just can't with them looking at me right now.
I don't like this. Well, can't we just give them something to do?
Everything's been done.
Well, what about like cucumber sandwiches or something?
Anna hated cucumbers.
Yeah, whatever. Peanut butter. I don't know, just something grief snack
Okay,
thingy.
they're ham and cheese and they've already been cut. I can't think of anything else for them to do.
Are you guys done?
No, we're still talking.
What about
Honestly, I walked in and like the second I walked in, everyone was super friendly. So I didn't feel like afraid or anything. So like throughout the camp, it's kind of stayed the same with everyone being like super close and like goofy and friendly like. So yeah, there's some really cool people here, and I'm glad this camp exists.
Anna loved growth, and personal growth was her thing. You know that. It's true.
Yes, I know.
Just being surrounded by like-minded people and people from similar communities and marginalized communities and people who want to see themselves represented in film and that are taking steps to achieve that, it was really empowering and encouraging. It's exciting to see the projects that we can take on together, knowing what we know and helping each other continue to learn after the camp.
Please tell me though, why are you here? Like really seriously tell me, because I could kick you out if I want to.
I don't know. Closure.
Bad answer.
Just wait. It's obviously not the real reason. Because Anna and I, when the whole thing went down with me and Anna, and I outed her, and I moved away, I thought about it every day.
To watch them like find their confidence and to think like, I was so scared before I walked in and you handed me a camera and I felt so intimidated, but now I'm like, I get it. I love this. Like, I want to do this. Is like, I feel that every day when I get to be a filmmaker. And it just makes me really happy because we need that. We need more of the people who've been like forced to the peripheries and like who don't get to see themselves, in film and TV. Like, that's who we need to step up and be like, this is our story and we want to share this with the world. And the amount of difference, like seeing even one film where you get to like see yourself reflected back, the amount of difference that can make in someone's life is it's just this like incredible ripple effect. I'm so proud of you, Grace Lee.
I'm so glad.
It's been such an honor getting to know you. And I'm excited to see what you're up to next. Yeah. She's gonna film it.
Did you get what you need? Here first. Did you get what you need?
Well, we had a date, didn't we?